So now with the stimulus, we might be getting the 2K. Maybe. We'll see what happens. They're saying that they might be ready to vote on that tomorrow, as of the recording of this, which tomorrow would be Christmas Eve. They're going to be ready to vote on that by noon, and it's going to include the 2K payments. We've been talking about a lot of the stuff included in this bill. And here's one of the things Lindsey Graham had to say. I hope Speaker Pelosi will agree with President Trump that big tech needs to be reined in by winding down Section 230 liability protections. I have reason to believe this combination will lead to President Trump supporting the NAA and COVID-19 omnibus bills. So, in other words, Lindsey Graham saying, you know, as long as we're suppressing more digital rights, I guess we can give the plebs $2,000.
I actually screenshotted both of those tweets and put something out about that last night. It pissed me off so much. Social media platforms aren't publishers. And what repealing and rolling back Section 230 to part of it, at least, is it more or less grants the authority for social media companies to be publishers and to tell you what is and isn't speech.
That's
without any of the consequences of being a publisher.
That's what so many people are missing, because what they don't realize, they kind of think it does the opposite. And that's what Trump claims. Trump claims it does the opposite. And by the way, Biden too. People like make it out like, oh, Trump thought of this himself. No. It's the people around him, and Joe Biden is for this too. They think it does the opposite because it transfers a bunch of bureaucracy over to the FCC to potentially penalize social media companies or any other online entity. Section 230 applies to everyone, not just social media companies. I think a friend of the show, Evan Greer, who's the deputy director at Fight for the Future, a digital rights organization, she makes a great analogy where she says, like, it's almost like you're saying we need to gut Section 230 because it's shielding social media companies. That's kind of like saying we need to gut the First Amendment because it's shielding Nazis.
Yeah.
It's like you're not it's kind of like, and the way these social media companies are behaving is a huge problem. You know, we all understand the problem, and people across political aisles agree on that problem. Silicon Valley has no right telling me or you what is and isn't news, what is and isn't free speech. They have no right to do that, nor are they qualified to do so. But the solution, the idea of gutting Section 230, it's going to lead to more censorship, not less, because now these social media companies are really going to crack down because they don't want whoever to sue them. The FCC is going to crack down as well. So it's the equivalent. I mean, the way I like to see it, it's like you showed up to the doctor because you have a broken arm, and the doctor goes, that sucks, you got a broken arm. We're going to set you on fire. That'll take care of it. I guess technically, if you're a pile of ashes, that broken arm does go away. But you're also a pile of fucking ashes. That's a shitty solution. But we live in the United States, Steve, where we entertain these fantasies where, you know what, if we have a problem, let's have policy that makes it shittier. and if you don't like that, we'll come up with even shittier policy.
Yeah.
You settle for the less shitty one, or you're the problem.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. It's weighing the available information and the potential solutions to the problem, and then finding a little box to put that in so that you can make the wrong choice every single time. That's kind of like how we do things. It's just, I mean, there's probably, like, you know, feces and some flame involved in there too. But the long and short of it is, if there's a good outcome to be had from a piece of legislation, that's the first thing that goes out the door. So, and we've been covering a lot of the digital rights implications of this stimulus bill on this show. And to be fair, we even covered the few good things that were actually in the bill. They had money set aside for broadband. That's a good thing. 3.2 billion or something like that for broadband. Hey, that's a good thing. Save Our Stages is included in it.
That's a good thing. We've been pushing for the Save Our Stages Act for months on this show. It's not a huge win, but shit, man, you'll take the wins where you can get them. That's a good thing. The bad outweighs the good by a fuckload. And there's that part in there that's going to come down on streamers where we could be facing 30 grand in suits. Now, because of public outcry, they've had to backpedal on that a little bit, where Tillis, the guy from North Carolina, was like, no. We're not coming after your favorite YouTubers. We're not coming after your streamers. We're just going after piracy companies. That's all. We're just going after piracy companies.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No shit, right? No shit.
Didn't we do this 8 years ago?
We did it 8 years ago. We did it 3 years ago. We did it 2 years ago. You really think that fair use situations aren't going to be caught in the crosshairs? We know they are. They already have been. This is an overreach and we fucking know it.
We had a video removed from YouTube. We were covering a protest, and there was a copyrighted song that was playing over the loudspeaker at the event. And that's why that was the reason the video got removed.
Yeah. Let's not be naive to think like, oh, stuff's not going to get caught in the crosshair. So there are incredibly disturbing things on digital rights in this legislation. And this is another thing. And when you see, you know what, Steve, it's so mind-blowing because, especially when it comes to Section 230, you also have to take a step back and just deal with the realization that the people making these decisions, casting the votes that are going to have years of consequences, they're straight up people who don't understand how this stuff works. Like they don't. I mean, it's like when you hear these testimonies from people like Ted Cruz and stuff, you can't even say the guy's being malicious or not because you don't know, because he's demonstrating he has no fucking clue how it works. Like he just doesn't understand it. Neither does Donald Trump. Neither does Joe Biden. Neither does Lindsey Graham. Neither does they just don't understand this stuff. They don't even understand what it is and what it does.
Not only do they not understand it, but the most bickering that takes place, especially when they have a hearing around censorship, it isn't that there's too much of it. Nobody makes that point. The argument is over who should be censored more, and not this is an insane abridgment.
And who should do it?
Yeah.
And who should do it? And they constantly just gloss over that who should do it part. They constantly go like, well, of course, Silicon Valley billionaires, right? No, that's not right. That's not who should be doing it. I mean, look, I think the way the free speech laws in the United States are supposed to work, as far as how the law is written, I think it's pretty good. I think our free speech laws are pretty solid. If they were followed, it'd be even better. But I think they're pretty good laws because it's a very tough line to toe as far as, what speech should have consequences, which speech shouldn't. How do you toe that line where you're upholding freedom of the press and upholding freedom of expression, while at the same time, if somebody spreads defamation on somebody else and it hurts their livelihood, it hurts their ability to make a living, or it hurts should someone be able to get away with that if they just lie about someone else? So I think the free speech laws of the United States are pretty freaking good. But Facebook's not qualified to enforce them. Twitter is not qualified to enforce them. Constitutional lawyers are qualified to enforce them. Free speech experts are qualified to enforce. So the actual fix is making these things public utilities and following those laws in accordance and making it very transparent and accountable. The fix is not blowing up a section that allows free speech on the internet. That's not what you do. Like, that's just not what you do. And they somehow don't understand this. Somehow these guys, I don't have a law degree. You don't have a law degree. We understand these concepts because it's really not that fucking difficult. But elected officials who do this full time for a fucking job, they can't wrap their head around this somehow.
Wouldn't it? Oh God. is the quote, is it Salinger who said it's difficult for a man, no, Upton Sinclair, it's difficult for a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your